Right. I shall not indulge in vanity, but I shall cling to pride. Two very different things. One being weak and indulgent, the second being strong and a necessity of survival with honor. Tennessee Williams. Chapter 8. Something simple. When I decided to leave Cleveland, a merciless sense of glory overcame me. Maybe it was the act of leaving. Maybe it was the act of leaving, of doing something not out of fear or aggression, but instead simple, honest excitement. Maybe it was the flies waiting with anticipation just underneath my skin. Either way, the grey skies were now an ever-present blanket, and my body was an electric sponge, soaking up the cold winter winds of Ohio and turning it into religious energy. I know I had to act fast. Feelings like this don't last long, at least not for men like me. I had to make it into something good, something I could change the world with, or at least make things a little bit better for the scoundrels that deserved more than they got. I needed to use this holy electricity inside me to take a stand, once and for all. I walked to the nearest phone booth with an idea too good to have come from my brain alone. It was in the parking lot of an old Exxon gas station that I found a sheltered phone booth with cracked glass and aging graffiti, and I stepped inside. I reached into my pockets of my ripped-up jeans, fumbled around for some change, a dime, a few pennies, a half-eaten sandwich from the Trinity Cathedral soup kitchen, that elephant figurine Alice and I had stolen when we were kids, not enough for a phone call. I looked down at my tattered loafers. A month before I'd gone up in the Carriagetown clinic, I traded my last dollar to a street kid for his leather loafers. They were comfortable, but if only I still had that dollar. But maybe. I closed my eyes and said a quick prayer, then reached up for the phone's change return lever. I pulled down slowly to savor the moment. When the lever was pulled about halfway down, I heard a click. That beautiful satisfying sound of gears turning inside the payphone. I spit out a single dented quarter. I held the quarter in my hand and studied it for a moment. 1979, the best year of my life. I kissed the little round piece of metal, popped it into the coin dispenser, and picked up the phone from the receiver. A dial tone. I pressed O, and after a few rings, the operator picked up. That'll be 0, but it says O here. City and state, please. I froze for a moment in silence. City and state, please. I froze for a moment in silence. Hello? City and state, please. I cleared my throat and then jumped into the volcano. Operator, hello? Hello, sir. City and state, please. Yeah, Cleveland, Ohio, please. She made a few clicking sounds on the other end and then replied, All right, sir. How can I direct your call? Yeah, my call. I'm trying to contact the Regional Transit Authority. One moment while I connect you, sir. There was a silence on the other end. Had she hung up? Were we accidentally disconnected? Or did she somehow know what I was about to do? Was there some sort of cosmic principle at work here? Allowing me to get success within reach before violently ripping it from my hands? But before my confusion turned into panic, the phone line came alive again with a crisp sound of ringing in the receiver. It rang 3 times before a man picked up. RTA, main office, how could I help you? Yeah, hi, I'm calling because I'm the manager of a grocery store here in Cleveland Heights, and while our customer service carries RTA transit passes, and we've just run out. I was wondering if I could come pick up another pack of them? He cut me off and began talking rapidly. Certainly, sir, our office can send them out via post office and bill your store directly. What's the name and address of your business? My store? My name it's Reno Regio's, the one on Mayfield Road. But the thing is, I'd rather you didn't send it in the mail. See, we need them for tomorrow morning. We sell a whole bunch of those bus passes. I was wondering if I could come pick them up in person, maybe? The next hour or so? The RTA employee paused for a moment to think. I suppose I could put them on hold at her front desk. How many would you like to reserve, mister? Anderson. Reserve them for Mr. Anderson. And would you like to pay in person, Mr. Anderson? Or should I bill the store? You can go ahead and bill the store. I'll be within the hour, thank you. As I hung up, a gust of wind shook the plexiglass walls of the phone booth. I stepped out into the winter air and looked up at the sky. A break in the clouds had allowed the sun to barely peek out. As it shined its warmth on my face, I allowed myself a long, triumphant smile. It was the first smile in a long while, and it was well deserved. Things were looking up. Maybe Alex was right. Maybe we were special weapons meant for something bigger than we once thought. After waltzing in and out of RTA headquarters without incident, I took my fresh batch of unused transit passes down to the train station. It was mostly empty with the exception of one lone kid sitting on the end bench with headphones on. As I walked towards him, he looked up and our eyes met for a brief moment. I decided to have a bit of fun with him. "Hey kid, take off your damn shoes, your damn headphones." A confused look came over his face as though he couldn't understand what I was saying. He reached up and pulled the headphones from his ears. "Huh? I told you take off the headphones. But now you've got them off. That's good. Listen, we need to talk." He squinted his eyes and gave me a once-over. Do I know you?" I chuckled and paused for effect before answering. Do you know me?" "That's a good question. See, that all depends. You got $1 on you?" "A dollar? I don't think so. No, sorry." "Sorry? No, I don't think you are. Listen, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you a story, a good one, that you're going to like. And by the time I'm done, there better be $1 in my hand. Or else I'm gonna bite your fucking ear off." The kid froze in terror, and I continued. The year was 1977, the summer before I headed off to Georgia Tech to become a famous pitcher. And me, Jimmy, Frank, and Joe decided to all get together for one last pickup game before I left. We met down by the old water tower because there was a wide open field and a gutted barn that we used to use as a backstop. And Frank told me, "Hey Hank, let's see that college pitching arm in action. Give us your best shot and don't take it easy." And he grabs the bat and goes over to the barn wall and sails into his batting stance. Jimmy and Joe jog off into the outfield with their gloves, and, well, Jimmy did more of a hobble than a jog. See, ever since he was 9 years old, he hadn't been able to walk right because the Carmichaels broke both of his legs with pipes and such. And, well, anyway, there's Frank waiting for the pitch. I take a long wind-up and throw him a fastball as hard as I can, right down the center. He swings past it, and the ball hits the barn wall with a loud thud. And Frank picks up the ball and throws it back to me. Strike one. He gets ready for the next one, and I wind up and throw him another fastball. This time he's ready for it, though, and he catches the ball with the tip of his bat and pops up a foul ball to the left of the water tower. Jimmy hobbles off to get it, and he throws it back to me. I decide to give Frank a taste of what college ball is like. The way I figure it, baseball is like life, in that you've got to be ready for whatever comes. So I aim the ball right at Frank's gut, wind up and throw as hard as I can. And man, the look of horror on Frank's face when he realizes what's about to happen. The ball socks him right in the ribcage, and he doubles over in pain. And I start laughing like a madman. Now Jimmy and Joe are yelling at me, wondering why the hell I'd hit Frank with a fastball. But I think I taught them a good lesson. You know what that lesson was? The kid's too scared to talk, but he shakes his head. He shakes his head no. The lesson is this. You gotta expect it all. Life can be so easy sometimes that it feels like you're flowing down the river with a drink in your hand and the sun in your face. And there ain't nothing that can go wrong. And it can get so damn hard sometimes the devil himself would break down into tears at the sight of the hell that's all about you. Either way, you gotta realize that around the next corner, anything can happen. Anything. Now listen, you better either get that $1 out or get ready to lose an ear. The kid was so terrified, he could barely move. I gave him a menacing stare and counted to myself silently. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The train was approaching. It was now or never. I burst into long, loud laughter and slapped him on the back. "I'm just fucking with you, kid. Here." And in a big stack of transit passes. They ain't expired. Use them if you need to. And if you don't, then pass them along to someone that does. Whatever you do, though, remember, anything can happen. The train pulled up, and when the doors opened, the kid shakily stood up and mumbled, "Thanks," to me. As he stepped onto the train, I gave him a half salute and walked off the platform, heading in the direction of the westbound I-480 highway. I allowed myself another long smile. It ain't often that you can find your calling in life in the span of a day, and it ain't often that you're given an opportunity to do a good deed. At least not in my experience. And now that my legend was spreading in Cleveland, it was time to bring it to a new town. Henry Turner, they'd say. A Robin Hood of the streets. The bane of all businessmen. The bus pass angel. And a man you could count on for a damn good story. It was something simple. And it was the beauty of it. And that was the beauty of it. Postlude. It ain't a Rolex. I have no idea what this is, but let's read it. I got a lot of regrets. I got a lot of scars and bruises too, and I ain't afraid to take on a few more if necessary. But I'll tell you this much. When I look back at what I've done, there's two things I'll never forgive myself for. One is Savannah. Of course, she's probably better off not having had a wreck like me in her life. I wish I had known her for long enough for her to realize what a miserable bastard I am, so that she could stay the hell away. It's one thing to have a deadbeat dad to model yourself against, and another to wonder whether or not you had a deadbeat dad to begin with. Take it from me. The other thing I wish had gone down differently is Memphis. Oh, I don't regret putting that trucker to rest. He can rot in hell for eternity, and I'll see him there soon, the fucker. But I was raised in the South, and Mama taught me that you don't lay a hand on a woman. No, ever. Hell, I don't know what came over me in that Waffle House. But when the cancer finally took my ex-wife, and they buried her in an unmarked grave in Sandy Springs, just outside of Atlanta, I wrote her a letter. No return address, no name on it, nothing. Because that was God's great revenge. Try as I might, I couldn't remember her name. It was a curse upon my memory. So I put that letter in a postal collection box and sent it out into the world. And who knows? Maybe someone read it and knows how sorry I am for the things I've done and for the things I haven't done. I ain't counting on it, though. Forgiveness ain't an inherent human quality, and I sure don't expect it. As you can imagine, I made it out the West eventually. Not much of a story there. After a week's worth of friendly truckers and bumming meals, I got dropped off near Union Station in Portland, Oregon, in the middle of one rainy-ass winter. I'd been expecting sunshine and beaches up and down the West Coast, but this was worse than Cleveland. One thing good happened here, though. There's this street kid with green hair and bad tattoos, maybe 19 years old, who calls herself Peanut. And she camps out near me sometimes, and we stay up all night when one of us finds a bottle. Peanut has crazy eyes and she talks real slow, like she's guarding something. She's a punk, she says. That ain't something you were liable to call yourself when I was a kid, I told her. But hey, if you want to call yourself a punk, then ain't none of my business, punk. We give each other a lot of shit, but at the end of the day, she's the closest thing to a friend I've had in years. And I think she treats me like the father she never had, which is okay by me. Never had much of a chance to be a father, and it feels good to give advice when you can. So Peanut and me are sitting around under the Broadway Bridge one night telling stories when it hits me. Hey kid, I ever tell you about how I got kidnapped by the banana lady when I was a little baby? Peanut rolls her eyes and goes, only about 20 times, you old crazy bastard. Yeah, but I ever tell you how I found out about that? She rolls her eyes again, but I continue. It was Christmas Eve, 1969, and it's me, my mother, and my granddad, and my granddad's drunk as a motherfucker. At some point in the evening, he runs out of booze and decides he's gonna take the whole family to the bar. A Christmas treat on him. Mama goes, hell no, Gus. You ain't taking Henry to no bar ever again. No, after last time. And anyway, ain't no bars open on Christmas Eve in the first place. He tells her to shut the hell up about it, and this big fight breaks out between the two of them. One thing leads to another, and Mama kicks his ass out in the street, on Christmas Eve no less. But before he leaves, he goes over to the Christmas tree and sticks a package underneath it, addressed to me. Peanut's acting like she's not interested, but I can tell she is. I reach into my coat pocket and take out the watch. He left me this, along with a note. It ain't a Rolex, and you couldn't get much for it in a pawn shop, believe me, I've tried. But it's the one thing I've had since I was a kid. I guess you could call it a family heirloom, even if it is a cheap one. Here, I want you to hold it onto it for me. I pass the silver wristwatch to this young punk with green hair, and she turns it over in her hands a few times, and then puts it in her pocket. There's a few moments of silence, and she takes a drink from the bottle. Hank, I think you're a crazy old bastard. I don't think you're a crazy old bastard. I didn't mean that. That made me laugh. Kid, if there's one thing I am, it's a crazy old bastard. But I'll tell you what, I forgive you, kid. Now quit hogging that ball and hand it here. As we sat there, the light traffic from the overhead bridge lurched along like rusty gears in an old factory. Some train blew its whistle from the St. John's Cut, and the echo of it in the wind made it sound like screams in the far-off distance. It's funny. I always imagined I'd give that watch to my daughter, and it'd be some sort of movie where she'd forgive me and we'd cry and the rain would fall, but life don't work out like that. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this much though. If there's one thing I learned from baseball, it's that you can throw all the fastballs you want, but if you don't change it up every now and then, you're gonna hit. They're gonna hit. They're gonna hit you every single time, and you can take all the damn speed you want, but it's not gonna make that change up any easier. The speed sure is nice though. Makes you feel like a tiger, like a crazy ass tiger. Hell, what was I trying to say? I guess it's just that sometimes I wonder what it'd be like to start from scratch and see where life would go. To be young and see if I could do something big that the reporters would want to write about. And they'd give you a little bit of money for the story. Not much, but enough to buy yourself something to eat and a couple of drinks. To be 19 years old again, man. Like this kid here, Peanut. Except without all the bad tattoos and the crazy hair and the stupid name, you know? Let's call this what it is. A poorly thought out obsession. Quixotic. And probably unhealthy. Ever since this whole project started, I've continually asked myself what it was about Henry Turner that I found so compelling. What it was that made me dedicate over a year of my life to him and his mistakes. I'm still not sure what the answer is, but it lies somewhere in the fact that forgiveness has become as uncommon as compromise in the community I find myself a part of. Many people I know have been hurt by individuals similar to Turner, be it a member of their family, their partner, or one of their friends, and their response is all too often unequivocal. I'll never speak to them again, rather than giving the pain some distance and attention, and then attempting to forgive the wrong. No matter how painful it might be, I think forgiveness is an important step in being able to move forward, though I haven't always been able to do it myself. In writing Turner's story, I was able to grow closer to doing so. I've had people ask me how much of this is true. The questions would range from, how the hell did you know Henry? To, did Henry Turner even exist? I've never held much stock in the virtues of objective truth, especially in regards to storytelling. When you paint something in the black and whites of fact and fiction, you lose some of the magic. It's like the off-screen monster in horror movies. It's no longer scary when you've seen what the monster looks like. That said, it's important to know that in the case of Henry Turner, the more unbelievable sounding the story is, the more rude in truth it is. Since writing this all down, I've had a huge stack of unused bus passes sitting on my desk in my bedroom. They were a gift. And when I'm done writing this epilogue, I'm going to celebrate by taking those passes down to number 6 bus stop near my house and find the first innocent looking kid waiting for the bus. I'm going to ask him for $1, and if he says no, I'm going to threaten to bite his fucking ear off. Because look at him. He clearly has $1. And when the bus pulls up and the kid's trembling in fear, I'm going to laugh and say, I'm just messing with you, kid. Here, take these. They were a gift from an old friend. I don't have any use for them anymore. Then I'm going to walk back to my house and call some people I haven't spoken to in a while. Things are different now. There's something I've been meaning to tell them. And there you fucking go.